Hi Tens, I got a request for a video on how to solve the revenue problem, so here goes. A ferry operator takes tourists to an island, and the operator carries an average of 500 people per day for a round-trip fare of $20. And the operator estimates that for each dollar increase in fare, 20 fewer people will take the trip. So what fare will maximize the number of people taking the ferry? So if we think about how much money the operator makes, okay, you can think about this in terms of revenue. So we know that revenue is equal to the price times the, in this case, the number of people taking the ferry. And so if we take a look at the question, it says that normally 500 people take the ferry at a price of $20. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill that in. So it would be 20 times 500 would be our revenue. And the next thing that's really important is this idea that for every dollar that they increase the price, 20 less people are going to take the trip, okay? And so in this case, we need to represent that in some way. So if it was 21 people, then there would be 480 people going. If it was $22, sorry, then there'd be like 460, etc. So each time this goes up by 1, this goes down by 20. And we need to be able to represent that mathematically. So we're just going to create a variable because we don't actually know how many price increases there's going to be. And we're going to say let X represent how many dollar price increases there are. Whoops, there are. Okay, so now we know that revenue is equal to price, and our price equation then, right, we've got $20 that we start with, and we're going to increase by $1, and we don't know how many times, so we're going to increase it by $1 X times. And then our number of people, well, we started out with 500, and we're going to decrease that by 20 people every time we increase the price by $1. So once we know how many times we increase the price, then we'll know how many times to decrease the number of people by 20. And that's just going to equal our revenue. So that's the easiest way, I think, to set up our equation. Just think about, so there's $20 increased by $1 a bunch of times, but we don't know how many times. And then that's going to cause the number of people, which was 500, to decrease by 20 that same amount of times, okay? So this in our equation represents our price, right? So, and this represents our number of people. So if we think of them, they're almost their own equations. So I'm just going to put them on the side for you, right? So our price is equal to 20 plus 1x, and our number of people is equal to 500 minus 2x. So then it says what fare will maximize the number of people taking the ferry, okay? So so let's go ahead, and it's asking for a maximum, so let's go ahead and complete the square. So I'm just going to rewrite this as R equals 20 plus 1x times 500 minus 20x. And so now I can go ahead and expand this. So 20 times 500 is 10,000 and 20 times negative, so sorry, that was 20 times 500. And then I'm going to do 20 times negative 20, so I get negative 400x. Then I have 1x times 500, so 500x. And then 1x times negative 20x, so negative 20x squared. And I'm going to rewrite this in order of highest power to lowest power. So I've got negative 20x squared. Negative 400 plus 500 is 100x. And then I have plus 10,000. So I want to go ahead now and complete the square. So I'm going to factor the negative 20 out. And then I have x squared minus 5x. And then plus 10,000. I'm going to keep going, right? I know that my b is equal to negative 5 over 2. And my b squared, so that is negative 2.5. And my b squared is negative 2.5 squared, so that's going to be 6.25. So I've got x squared minus 5x plus 6.25 minus 6.25 plus 10,000. Oops. So I've got negative 20, and so now I'm going to separate those out. So hopefully at this point you're all experts at completing the square. So remember, I have to multiply the negative 20 by the negative 6.25 on the way out. So I'm going to have negative 20 times negative 6.25 plus 10,000. And now what I want to do is go ahead and factor and simplify. All right, so I'm going to factor this. And when I factor this, it becomes negative 20 times x minus 2.5 squared. And then when I do this math, I get negative 20 times negative 6.25, which is 125 plus 10,000. So I get plus 10,125. So now I know my vertex. I don't think you can see that, so let me move the paper up. So I know that my vertex then is going to be 2.5 and 10,125. So the 10,125 is my maximum revenue, and the 2.5 is the number of price increases. So remember, this is your max revenue because it's whatever your, right, the R is, and then this is your X, and your X represents the number of dollar price increases. So this is the number of price increases. And so if we go back to the question, it talks about what fare will maximize the number of people coming. And so that is going to be this 2.5. So in order to figure out what the fare is, if we go back up here, the 20 plus 1x is the price or the fare. So we just have to put in 2.5 price increases. So then the fare, so let me write over here, the fare or the price is going to equal 20 plus 1 times 2.5, or $22.50. So that's pretty much it. Remember, when we're maximizing, we're trying to find the vertex. One of the ways we can find the vertex is to complete the square. We can also use our formula negative b over 2h, or we can actually state the x-intercepts and find the halfway point. So there's many ways to do this, but I just did completing the square. So if we just take a quick look, to set it up, it's always price times quantity, and then you look at what you're increasing. So we're increasing the price by $1, we're decreasing the quantity by 20, but we don't know how many times we're increasing or decreasing it, so that's where that x comes in. Then we can write our formula, expand it to get it into standard form, and then complete the square to figure out what our vertex is. And then this will tell us how many of the x's there are, so how many price increases. Once we know the number of price increases, then we can figure out what the price is just simply by putting it into, we knew it was $20 plus 1 times 2.5 price increases. Anyway, 10s, hope that helps.